Kiriogo presents Jimmy and the Hawk, Experiencing Loss. Written and narrated by Dr. Milan Lebray.
Hello, my name is Meg. People tell me that someday my nose is going to get me into trouble, but I always say my nose finds excitement, adventures, and amazing new friends. I'm very lucky. I meet the most incredible children and animals that share their stories with me. Oh boy, sniff, sniff. I think I smell something. Meet my friend Jimmy Littlehorse. He's a Native American Indian from Arizona. Jimmy is part of the Pima Maricopa Indian Tribe. They are called the Salt River people because they make their home on the Salt River Reservation, east of Phoenix. When he was born, his parents named him Jimmy, and his tribe gave him the name Little Horse. In his language, the word horse is heu, and he says I'm a Zat. Zat means dog. Jimmy is 10 years old and an only child. One evening, about 3 years ago, Jimmy and his mother were sitting in their kitchen after a wonderful dinner. Since it had been a particularly good day for Jimmy, his mother made him his favorite meal, fried chicken. Jimmy's mother is famous for her fried chicken. It's always so tender and juicy that it feels like it's melting in your mouth. That night, to go with the chicken, she made garlic mashed potatoes and corn on the cob. To top off this amazing meal was the best homemade apple pie you could ever imagine, with vanilla ice cream on the side. The only thing missing was Jimmy's father, but he had called early that night to say he'd be coming home late from work. Still, Jimmy was sad that his father had missed out on such a great meal. Jimmy loved his father very much. They were very close and loved spending time together. Jimmy's father always made every weekend an exciting new adventure, and this weekend was going to be more special than ever. Jimmy's father had been teaching him to make his own bow and arrow. Jimmy had been working very hard on finishing it before the weekend came. Today it was finally done, and Jimmy couldn't wait for his father to come home so that he could show him. However, the time kept passing and it was getting later, and still his father wasn't home. Finally, Jimmy's mother told him that it was time to brush his teeth and get ready for bed. Jimmy was really disappointed. He didn't want to go to bed. He wanted to wait up for his father. But Jimmy went upstairs anyway to brush his teeth like he was told. Just when he was heading up the stairs, he heard the doorbell ring. The first thing that Jimmy thought was that his father had forgotten his key. So he turned to run down to meet him. But his mother got there first. Instead of seeing his father standing there, Jimmy saw a police officer. The police officer asked if he could come in, as there was something very important that he had to tell them. It was then that Jimmy and his mother heard the words they would never forget. "I'm here to tell you both that there has been a very bad accident. I'm sorry to say that your husband was in it and, well, he didn't make it." Jimmy's father had died. Jimmy couldn't believe it. He thought that it had to be a mistake and that the police officer was wrong. He started screaming, "Liar, liar! Let my father come home!" The police officer just kept saying that he was sorry. Jimmy's mother had to sit down. She started to cry softly into her hands. After some time, the police officer got up to leave. He told Jimmy's mother to call him if there was anything that she needed. He left her his contact card and then he was gone. His visit had been like a tornado in the night. It came with no warning and only left behind destruction and sadness. For hours, Jimmy and his mother said nothing to each other. They just held each other really tight and cried. After a long while, Jimmy asked his mother why this had to happen to them. She said she didn't know why, but that Jimmy's father must have felt that it was time to go. Maybe he thought that his work here on Earth was done and it was time for him to move on. Jimmy was sad and confused, so he asked his mother why his father couldn't have said goodbye before he left. Jimmy's mother replied, "Sometimes we don't always get the chance to say goodbye, even though we might want to." Then she told Jimmy that his father would never really be gone. A long time ago, his father said that if he died before they did, he would come back as a hawk and watch over them. She continued on, "Every time you see a hawk, it will be your father making sure that you're growing up to be the best boy you can possibly be. A boy that he would be proud of." The next few days went by really fast. People from everywhere were coming to help Jimmy and his mother get through this tough time. Then came the day of the funeral. Jimmy didn't know what to expect. He had never been to a funeral before. His mother got out his best clothes and told him to get ready. Jimmy sat on his bed for a very long time. He thought about his father and about the plan that they had made to spend this very special weekend together with his new bow and arrow. Then Jimmy's mother called up to him. It was time to go. Jimmy dressed quickly, grabbed his bow and arrow, and went downstairs. The funeral procession was a long line of cars that drove to the cemetery. Jimmy was getting more and more sad as the minutes passed. He sat there quietly in the car, staring sadly at the bow and arrow on his lap. All Jimmy could think about was how much he missed his father. Then, out of the corner of his eye, Jimmy caught a glimpse of something. He turned to look out the window. He saw a very low-flying bird. "Father," Jimmy whispered. The bird he had seen was a hawk. It stayed with the funeral procession all the way to the cemetery. When they stopped by the graveside, the hawk perched itself in the nearest tree. Jimmy looked at his mother. She nodded at him and gave him a smile. He knew he wasn't dreaming. The hawk was real. She had seen it too. When it was time for Jimmy to approach the grave, he took his bow and arrow. He stood there quietly for a moment and then whispered, "Father, I made this for our trip this weekend. I was so excited to show you, but you never came home." Jimmy laid the bow and arrow on his father's coffin and said, "I want you to have this because I'm proud of it, and I promise to always try to make you proud of me." Just then, the hawk let out the loudest, most ear-piercing scream imaginable, as if saying, "Thank you." Jimmy looked into the sky and whispered, "You're welcome, Father. I love you."
You've been listening to Jimmy and the Hawk, written and narrated by Dr. Milan Lebray.